Hey guys, what's going on? It's Louie here and welcome to a brand new VOD review. I know it has been a while since I uploaded. I have been moving to a new house, so it's been a little bit hectic, but we're finally settled down a little bit. I've got my setup up and running, so that means that I have now got a little bit more time to record and kind of get back into the flow of these videos. I will have a poll on my channel and in Discord probably right as I upload this video, so that I can have an idea of what shot tutorial you all would like next, because although I love the VOD reviews and I am going to keep doing them, it's not me saying that I'm going to stop them, they do tend to get a little bit repetitive, especially if all the players are around the same level or a lot of the mistakes are the same. So I'm going to try and mix in more variety along with these VOD reviews, as I've kind of been doing with my backhand loop tutorial and the exercises of the footwork drills and stuff. But anyway, today we're going to be looking at a match from UCMC. This is his first submission. He's using the T-Bar Samsonov Carbon with JWO Nexus EL Pro 53 Super Select on the forehand and Exium Omega 5 Pro on the backhand. Definitely on the harder end as rubbers go, so pretty advanced rubbers. We'll see how everything looks before I really make any comments on that. USATT tournament rating 694. Started playing table tennis properly about 6 months ago. Over the summer I haven't been consistent as there weren't any clubs in my area I could go to regularly and did not have anyone to practice with. Recently in college I have been playing with more friends and have been improving. My eventual goal is to get to 2000, although I definitely have a long way to go. I'd like to start with getting to around 1500. When I started playing properly, I had long pips on the back end and was defensive with twiddling. Eventually switched to feint soft, which is also a pips rubber, and played a more placement game. Within the last month, have switched to inverted on both. I think I need to improve my tactics as well as playing less passive. During practice, I seem to be able to play better, but when I play games, in particular with new people, I for some reason switched to an almost all blocking game, even with shots that I should definitely be hitting. I've been working to try and hit more of the longer balls. I would also like to improve tactics, like setting up for attacks, and generally putting myself in control of some of the points I play. I also struggle with some serve spin recognition, which leads me, for example, pushing something with little backspin and send it off the table, and I found that I tend to cover what should be my forehand with my backhand, leaving the other part of the table open. I also want to learn some drills I can practice to improve my technique and footwork, as I notice myself hopping back a lot during games and I'm not sure that's what I should be doing. So we'll definitely take a look at the footwork. Some of this other stuff I suspect is more so a symptom than a problem itself. Like if you find yourself blocking, it's normally not a problem of like you're choosing to block, it's normally the preceding shot that's the problem. But I will take a look at that. I'll focus a lot on the footwork. Practice routine. Roughly 2 to 3 hours of practice time with a group, normally 4 to 6 alternating people playing every few days. I start with basic warm-up, counters, looping, blocking, then we do drills for maybe 30-ish minutes, then games, and typically finish with a few more drills to work on stuff we noticed during the games. No coach, but I play with some friends who used to play nationals in India who give tips on what I can work on. I haven't ever taken professional lessons since I started, since the clubs are far and expensive. Occasional robot settings with friends to practice form movement. Match is against Vid, who has roughly a 1800 in CTTA rating. I'm the one in gray, yellow, and red. I won these matches, but I'd say when we play I lose 65 to 70% of the time. I also noticed he made errors on his own, especially later in the games, which led me to get some of the points I won. In many of the cases I was totally prepared if his shots landed. So you're probably a lot better than 694, I would suspect. You're probably, what, if you're winning 30% of the time against an 1800, you're probably 1700, give or take. Anyway, second video, I'll practice some drills, then after that, more practice matches. Okay, so I'll take a look at the practice matches for just a couple minutes, and I won't look at any games here because I'll just focus on the game here. But let me take a look at some of this practice first, and then we'll go from there. And to everyone watching at home, I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, our protagonist is the player on the close side of the table. And again, this is just practice, so I might not really watch too much of this, but I'm just going to watch a little bit to get an idea of your level. Ooh, not bad. Yeah, you're no 600. Your serve needs a lot of work. You need you could get a lot more underspin on that if you really worked on it. It's very bouncy. But no, it looks good. Overall solid. Feet look okay. You're dropping the paddle on the back end, which is why some of them are missing out. Yeah, look how high this serve is as well. This serve is really bouncy over the net. So we go frame by frame here. Forehand looks pretty good. Feet look pretty good. Weight transfer is okay. Could be a little bit sharper maybe, but see how you make a circle with your paddle? This is really suboptimal. So this is where you finished on your forehand, right here. And then you need to be able to take your paddle from this spot and go directly to your backhand so that you can then just come straight forwards and the paddle should start above the ball. Right now, your paddle on the backhand, when you transition from the forehand, starts below the ball, which is why you are so susceptible to the ball popping out. So if we go frame by frame, this should be your ready position right here. You don't need to drop your paddle down here and have your ready position down there. It's just too slow. This is your ready position up here. If the ball comes to your forehand, then you drop it here. If the ball comes to your backhand, you drop it back here. And that way it's nice and sharp and everything is direct. And your paddle will be above the ball and you'll be able to get on top of it. But you see, your paddle drops and then you kind of make this semicircle with your racket to try and hit through the ball. And so when the ball kicks up like this, you have no chance because your paddle's still down here. Whereas if you had comes directly from your forehand, your paddle's probably right here. You're able to stay on top of it and drive forwards. But of course this ball, of course that type of ball misses out because you're just not prepared for it. You're making this semicircle with your paddle. And so it's going to fly. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, serves need to be heavier, but yeah, same. You're making a semicircle, which you don't want to do. Yeah, you just need to keep the paddle up, keep the paddle above the ball. But anyway, let me go ahead and take a look at the match. All right, let's go ahead and start on the match now. Again, protagonist on the close side of the table, and I am just gonna kind of point out things as I see them. That's okay. Again, kind of like I mentioned in the practice, I think your serves need a lot of work. I don't know if you're going for pure underspin or not, but I think you are going for heavy underspin here, and it just doesn't have that much spin on it. Or if you're not going for pure underspin, at the level you're at, it should be a much more default option for you. Because to improve to get your rating to 1500 and then maybe eventually 2000, your bread and butter, if you're going to play this kind of double-sided attacking style, should be that your default is serve extremely heavy underspin, so heavy that they can't hit it. And even if they push it, sometimes they push it into the net, but that'll force long pushes that allow you to attack. But I think you didn't even consider the possibility that he would hit this serve. Because you were thinking, I'm serving heavy underspin. It wasn't heavy underspin, it drifted long. And so yes, your block missed, but I think it's more so a symptom of your serve there. And then this one right here, this ball just needs to be hit. You probably, if you're not used to going for this type of ball, you'll go for a shot like this and you'll miss and you'll miss and you'll miss. And then eventually it will just land because you have the muscle memory of, oh, this one didn't work, I was too under. Oh, this one didn't work, I was too on top of it. And naturally, you will make your own adjustments, especially if you don't have the formal coaching. Being able to make adjustments on your own when something doesn't feel right is how you can start to connect on these types of shots. So, again, you miss one out, okay, I need to close a little bit more. You miss one in the net, okay, I need to maybe hit through it a little bit more, finish my form more. But you can't get that muscle memory and sort of feedback of, okay, I did this one well, I did this one poorly, and so on, if you don't even go for the shot and you just push it. So yes, you're scared to miss. Maybe if you go for it, you do miss, but you still have to go for it to give yourself feedback. Ooh, that's really, it's not a good habit. So your ready position, your right leg is forwards. As a right-handed player, you never, ever, ever, in any circumstance whatsoever, unless it's 1980, want your right leg forwards in the ready position. The issue with this is, while it makes it very easy to cover the backhand side of the table, it makes it very, very hard to properly play a forehand because you can't get your body in the right position. You're sort of twisting your body unnaturally to cover the forehand because your legs are in the wrong place. And case in point, serve comes to your forehand and you have no way to turn on this ball because your right leg is forwards, and so all you can do is this weird push, because if you try to pull your racket back from here, you're twisting it like really unnaturally against the rest of your body. It's probably really bad for your back, very hard to get power. Your left leg has to be forwards in ready position. I cannot name a single professional modern right-handed player that keeps the right leg forwards in ready position. If the ball is short or they're coming in for a backhand flip on the short ball, yes, the right leg will end up forwards, but the left leg has to start forwards, or at the very least even with the left leg maybe slightly forwards, but you definitely don't want the right leg forwards here. It puts you in a very weak situation. Same here. That's just a misread. It's okay. That's okay. You just need to finish your form more a little bit on the forehand. You stopped. But yeah, the serves are... The biggest thing I'm noticing right now is your serves and serve returns. In ready position, you need your left leg forwards here. It'll also help with keeping your left shoulder more square to the table on the backhand. Nice. Blocking there, I don't know if this is one of the points you're talking about where you're like, I'm caught blocking and wasn't really sure how to attack. Blocking here at this level is no problem. He served very good underspin. No one is expecting you to flip or do anything special with that type of serve. You played a decent push, he looped, and you blocked him down. You attacked where you could. He attacked. Like, I think this is fine. Could you have been maybe a bit more aggressive? Yeah, but I don't think that's a huge issue. Nice spin. That's very good. I think your feet are a little bit awkward on this serve. This is going to sound really contradictory because of what I just told you. But if you're doing a backhand pendulum serve from the forehand side, your right leg needs to be forwards. Because otherwise, you don't get anywhere near enough quality. For the same reason that you don't get enough quality on your forehand with the right leg forwards. You are trying to pull across your body, but to get your paddle here where it needs to be on the backhand pendulum serve with your left leg forwards, it's just really unnatural. If you want to do the backhand pendulum serve with this feet position, then you need to be standing more neutral, like central or on the backhand side. But I don't always like doing a backhand pendulum serve from here regardless, unless you're a very, very high level player, because it doesn't really have much purpose. And again, before someone gets angry in the comments, I'm not saying that it's invalid. There's professionals that do it, but I just don't think that at most levels it's a very useful serve. And this is the exact reason why, because that ball is very awkward to do anything about. That's good. Good. That's fine. Yeah, you're relying on a lot of mistakes, and you haven't served a single heavy underspin. That's your biggest issue right now. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so this is a very important concept. You misread his first serve here. Like, this was a set of 2 serves, and he gave you the same 2 serves. What I always tell my students is, also, from my perspective, I can't tell how hidden it is from your perspective, but I can't see his contact at all. So I'm not sure how legal this is, because like I literally cannot see his contact here. It is hidden by his head, his body, and his arm. Like it's very hard for me to see what he's doing from this perspective. But anyway, you misread this serve, it pops up, he hits a good shot. Now, from my perspective, and I think you'll agree with me that the same was true from your perspective, he didn't really do anything different on this serve. So it was the same motion. It was basically to the same place. It was the same follow through, the same speed. Everything tells you that this is the same serve that he just gave you. So if you popped up the first serve because it maybe wasn't pure underspin, and you weren't able to see the contact, you couldn't read it via the bounce, whatever, you should still know that this is topspin. Even if you can't see the even if you were blindfolded for the contact and the bounce and everything else, just from pattern recognition, you have to make a mental note, okay, he does this action with this way and the ball looks kind of this way when it bounces. This has a certain spin on it. And then if he gives you that same serve again, even if you can't see it, you can recognize that it's the same as the one you made a mistake on earlier and make an adjustment. Now, obviously, it's better if you can just watch the contact, recognize it from the contact, recognize it from the bounce even, or other ways. But if you can't, this is another way that you can recognize the spin and not make unforced errors off of it. The other point I want to make is I don't think there's too much of a problem with pushing the serve. And the reason I say that is I get serves like this against kind of the 1800 level players all the time. And even if it has some topspin on it, I can normally push it low to the net with no problem if there's enough side spin for me to work with and it's not pure top, which it appears this one is. Which tells me I think this is partially a feeling problem and you just need to... Maybe the rubber on the back end is too fast for you to really feel what the ball is doing. I'm not 100% sure, but the reason I say that is I know that I can normally chisel that sort of serve, keep it very low to the net, play some extreme angles. Not all the time, depending on how much topspin, but just something to keep in mind. It's a good serve. There are lots of topspin serves. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, having good topspin serves is obviously a good thing. And it's not the worst thing in the world to serve them occasionally, but you need more variation instead of only having a topspin serve, because otherwise it gives your opponent way too much control over the rhythm and the initiative. Like, you can't control the rhythm because you don't get to attack first with topspin. The only way you get to attack first is if he misreads your topspin for underspin and pushes it high and lets you kill the ball. But if it's just a normal topspin serve that he reads well, even if he doesn't hit too hard and he just guides it with his own topspin, now maybe even if he doesn't control the rhythm, it's kind of like no one controls the rhythm and you're just both reacting and putting your paddle in the way, so there's no way that you can set up combinations. Whereas if you look at his first serve, that's true underspin. Like true, it's not the heaviest, but it's true underspin. He gets under the ball, and that allows him to control the rhythm because you are forced to come in and push this ball. There's not really any other option unless you're 2200 and can play a flip on this ball, which is not something that anyone would expect you to do. But you're forced to come in and push this ball, and now he gets to do whatever he wants first. And so regardless of how both of you play the rally, he's always going to have a slight edge in this point because he got to loop first and he's forcing you to block. So it all comes back to the serve. Nice. Good recognition. That serve is very borderline, by the way, in terms of legality. Good. Yeah, you're very... I think a lot of the reason that you end up playing your backhand all over the table is because your default ready position, it's hard to see, but your right leg is always a little bit too far forwards, which makes it difficult for you to turn on the ball with your forehand and prevents you from creating space. I'm not too worried about the backhand technique, considering you've only been playing with inverted. on the backhand for 1 month. There's not really much I can say. Obviously, it's been a few more months now because this video is a couple months old, but there's not much I can say about it right now because you just need to work on getting the feeling for the ball, and it will naturally get smoother and more fluid over time, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. It's a good push. That's also a good push. There's no problem blocking here because he attacked first, and then you went for the attack the second you got the opportunity, so really it's not a huge deal. The forehand's a little bit too big, but again, I think there's bigger issues. That's fine. Yeah, and the other reason that I'm just gonna keep harping on it. This is really bad for your game because you're getting in this habit of serve, your right leg's immediately forwards. I know you can't see it, but I know your right leg's forwards at this point. And so now because your right leg's forwards, even on the ball that could be hit with the forehand, it's uncomfortable because you have no way to get your body in the correct position, and so you end up playing backhand, 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 like backhand all over the place, and it's just serve and poke the ball with your backhand. And this is a symptom of your legs and of your serve. It's not an issue in and of itself. This is a symptom of a bigger issue. So I'd really, really like to see you develop a true underspin serve. It'll increase your level by 100 points immediately. Yeah, because this is really suboptimal. The other thing that learning to serve with underspin will do is it'll get you in the habit of finding the ball with your forehand, which I think you have to learn to be able to, especially as a developing younger player, you have to be able to learn to find the ball and attack anything that lands in this box with underspin with your forehand before you can worry about the backhand or become a backhand player or anything like that. If the ball has underspin and it's long and it's anywhere within this box, you have to be able to loop that with your forehand. And the way to develop that is to start serving pure underspin so that you get these forced push returns that land anywhere from here to here. And you'll be surprised, you'll start finding the ball with your forehand here, and then you'll get a push here and you'll still be able to loop it with your forehand. And then once you've done that, and your forehand never misses, and sometimes people are blocking you here and you're getting beat, okay, now we can talk about maybe developing the backhand. But I think for your style, like your specific way of playing, and breaking some of these habits, we need to work on pure underspin serve and being able to loop any ball that comes right here with your forehand. The other thing this will do is because you'll have this kind of mental pattern and muscle memory of finding the ball with your forehand, is when you do serve topspin like this and someone gives you a ball that lands to the middle of the table, because your instinct is now more find the ball with your forehand, you'll be able to step and play forehand on balls like this as well, and only play the backhand situationally when it's the right time and place, instead of it being your default option to just rush and poke the ball. Your serve receives have gotten better this game. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I don't know though. It's hard. I'd have to see it from where you're standing. Nice. Good point. This goes back to that issue that you had in the practice. You play when you transition from your forehand to backhand. I'll give you exercise for this. Your paddle should be here. Obviously, you should be finishing your paddle higher, like by your left eyebrow. But you finish your paddle. Where you finish the forehand is your ready position. And then from this ready position, don't make a semicircle or a circle with your paddle. And don't let the paddle drop under the height of the ball if there's topspin on the ball. The paddle needs to be above the ball or at the ball's height when you play the shot. And then you can hit through it. So from here, the paddle should come straight down to the backhand and then directly forwards. Or if it came to your forehand, then it can come straight back. But if we watch in slow motion, you drop the paddle way down and you like sweep under the ball and try to lift it up, which is why this doesn't work. You can see your paddle's still going down, still going down, still going down. And now this is almost impossible to play because your paddle should be right here, hitting on top of the ball, hitting through the ball. But instead you're lifting up against it, and so the ball misses out. That's a better serve. Yeah, I probably don't need to watch much more because a lot of your issues are symptoms of not having any way to, like, look, if we go to your practice, and again, your practice didn't really have any true underspin either, but you're trying to serve underspin, and, like, I haven't seen this forehand a single time. I haven't seen this forehand loop a single time in the game. And the reason for that is the serves. It has nothing to do with your blocking. It has nothing to do with your shot selection after the serve. It has to do with the serve itself. You don't give yourself a chance to play because you don't serve down and you don't force your opponent to push. So I think that's really the biggest issue right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and type your notes up. I'll give you some exercises to work on. I think this will help your game a ton. And I'll be back. Alright, I've got my notes for you. Let's get straight into it. Number one, most important issue by far. I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to work on your serves more. Table tennis is 80% serve and serve return, and it is holding you back more than anything else that I talked about in the video. I suspect just being able to get true heavy underspin on your serves could get you way over 1500, possibly immediately to 1800. So truly spend not just 5 minutes, but 30 to 60 minutes every practice session working on developing underspin serves. And ideally, you don't want it to just be an underspin that bounces twice on your opponent's side and continues rolling out forwards, but a serve that bounces twice on your opponent's side and then stops and comes all the way back to the net while being low and having velocity. Ideally, the second bounce on your opponent's side is as close to the baseline as possible, and then it stops after that second bounce and starts coming back from there. And where I say see my explanation, I'll give you the perfect example of what I mean. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to have Ma Lin serves. That's not realistic, but this is just the perfect example. That is what you're going for at the most optimal level, where second bounce on the opponent's side as close to the baseline as possible, and then it starts coming back toward the net from there, because this will give you more long pushes than the obviously short serve. So like if your first bounce is here, your second bounce is here, and then it's already coming back towards the net, it's so obviously short that like you'll start getting short touches and people start flicking them, that if you add some velocity, and it obviously doesn't need to land on the baseline, but if it just has some velocity to where it's maybe first bounce, second bounce, third bounce, fourth, and then it's coming back like this, it will be heavy, it will get people to push it into the net, and it will give you easier opportunities to attack, because it'll be a more difficult serve to touch short. It'll also bait people into thinking that it's long. But anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea. Once you can do these, very few players under the 1800 to 2000 range are going to flip or have exceptional short touches. So like I mentioned, this will force most players to push long, which will then allow you to groove your shots, get some muscle memory and feedback on what does and doesn't work, which again, getting feedback from your own feeling and then kind of making adjustments from there is extremely important when you don't have formal coaching or the opportunity to get as much formal coaching. And the only way to get that feedback consistently is to give yourself opportunities to play the shots, which is why the serves are important. So you can still occasionally, of course, mix in the topspin. You actually do want to do this, otherwise you just become too predictable. But having this heavy underspin as your default will make the topspin even more effective. And then you can even mix in like float along with the topspin and underspin as another change up to throw off your opponent. Now, the next point is that when you transition from your forehand to backhand, try not to make that kind of circle or semicircle motion with your paddle where you're starting under the ball and trying to swipe it up. Try to be very direct and sharp. Where you finish your forehand is essentially where you should be watching from, so it's your quote-unquote ready position. Then you can go directly to the starting point of the next shot from there, but try not to drop the paddle under the table or under the ball. And this is especially especially important on the backhand, not so much the forehand, although it still applies there as well. Just don't let the paddle go under the ball. Next, ready position should always be left leg forwards. This is another hugely important note. This will make a big difference with your serve returns, and it'll prevent you from instinctively running to your forehand with your backhand to poke the ball. Next, if you misread the serve and your opponent gives you the same motion on a succeeding serve, basically identical, and they didn't give you any indication that it's now something different, even if you still can't read the contact or the bounce, you should still have a better idea of what spin is now on the ball based on the error you made on the preceding serve, which you can again use as feedback to make a stronger return. And now I do have a few exercises for you that I think will help. The first one is X's and H's, which if you aren't familiar, X's and H's means one person plays cross court, the other person plays down the line. So if this is the table, then you have player 1 and player 2. If player 1 is playing H's over here and player 2 is playing X's, it'll look like this. This player plays down the line, you play the player here plays cross court, and then the player here plays down the line again, and the player here plays cross court again. So you're both doing side to side movement. The player going down the lines has a little bit harder footwork than the player going cross court, but again, you're making basically a figure 8, and you want to try and be able to loop and block both ways. You want to be able to loop X's while your opponent blocks H's, loop H's while your opponent blocks X's, and vice versa. At least on the forehand when I say loop. If you can't do it both wings yet, that's fine. You can just drive with the backhand and loop with the forehand. But again, footwork needs to be very explosive since you're moving back and forth from one forecorner to the other. And especially when you transition from forehand to backhand, regardless of if you decide to drive or loop, just focus on keeping your paddle above the ball. Don't let it drop, don't lift up or swipe up on the ball because you're very susceptible to missing out when that happens. A couple more good exercises just to group footwork and build muscle memory. You can try one middle, one backhand, one middle, one forehand. Anytime I say middle, that is a forehand, so it's a ball that is blocked to the middle that is played with your forehand. You can also try one backhand, one middle, one backhand, one forehand, two backhand, two step around forehand, and two backhand, two forehand. And I think this should be plenty to work on for now. And don't just work on it for 5 minutes and say, yep, that's good. Really try to perfect these drills. Like, hone them down until you can do every single one of these one by one perfectly. Like, you can consistently get 20 to 30 in a row before you make a mistake. Don't worry about randomness in exercises yet, so I don't want you to do like 1 or 2 backhands, 2 forehands, or anything with too much randomness just yet, because I think you just need to get the muscle memory for the shots and movement first. If you do get really comfortable with these, then maybe you can add in some randomness. But again, and then the last thing I'll say is just focus on not allowing your right leg to be in front of your left leg, especially on the forehand. But that's going to do it for this match review. I hope that was helpful. To everyone watching at home, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and make sure to join the Pong Connect Discord server where you can hang out, ask a bunch of questions, send your own matches if you don't want a VOD review and just want people to give you general feedback, or if you do want a match review, this is the place to submit those as well. But either way, it's a great place to hang out and talk with other members of the table tennis community. Thank you all so much again for watching. I hope you all are having a great day, and until next time.